I think we're good. All right. So thank you so much again, Dane, for joining after we've experienced a multitude of technical issues. We haven't given up. So you were letting me know how you're doing with these times, and yep, so you can take it away.
Okay, so I hope we don't get any interruptions this time round. But
No.
yes, it's definitely been an interesting time,
Mm-hmm.
and so many of us have been challenged. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I will be quite honest. I went into a little depression within the first couple of weeks
Mm-hmm.
um, of the lockdown because we were mid-tour and Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, made an address whilst we were
Mm-hmm.
doing technical rehearsal on stage with the Mark Bruce Company.
Mm-hmm.
And the director came in immediately after this address and said, "We're going to close the theater. The shows are cancelled. We need to leave." So we had a longest discussion, but that was basically what was said. And within 15 minutes, we packed up and
Mm-hmm.
left. And we were mid tour after something we've been working on for months and months. And then being home for about a month, having the one thing taken away from you that is your connection to your meaning in life. Really, you wake up in the morning and you know, like, I do this, and that's my identity. I am a
Right.
performing artist, and I travel to different parts of the country, and I
Mm-hmm.
perform and inspire and motivate people through my dance. So that was taken away, and then it's just left with you and your thoughts and what is going on in the world. So I was definitely depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I shut down really. You know, some different people have different ways of coping with stress or pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my reaction was just go quiet, don't make any noise, just observe, see what's going on, see what's happening in the world, try to decipher the messages. But then what kind of brought me out of my dark place was seeing people online coming together
Mm-hmm.
and sharing their experiences. And it was just videos I saw of young kids um, dancing
Mm-hmm.
in different parts of the world. And I was thinking, well, I'm a dancer. Why am I not dancing? So it was seeing people online and seeing people come together that kind of brought me out of my shell a little bit. And now I'm more in connection with people using the online platform, like now speaking to you
Right.
on Zoom, something that we would never have done before.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. So you spoke about how seeing those videos, I wanted to know how social media or, these, virtual video platforms, how you're embracing that and how you're working that through your own creative process, and also how your counterparts from Moving Assembly Project are doing the same.
Yeah, so social media is a tool. It can be 50-50 good and bad. Generally, in my performance career, I focus more in the live element because I enjoy the interaction with people
Mm-hmm.
in a space because people give off energy, they give off a vibration. Imagine you sitting in a room and your back is turned to the door and somebody walks into the room. You don't hear them, but you feel something has changed, and that's a vibration that everybody has. So when you attend live performances, you getting a vibrational connection from people. So
Mm-hmm.
I've not really spent much time online in the past few years, but now when we find ourselves in this lockdown situation, we are forced to have to find ways to use this tool, this online tool, to
Mm-hmm.
continue to do what we do. So last week with Moving Assembly, we started a Dance a Day series whereby I make a little dance in London somewhere, and I post it on our channel, and I invite other people
Mm-hmm.
around the world to share their dance wherever they are with us, and we post it and we give them a shout out. And then all of those films we will take and make it into a film to screen at the end of the lockdown period. And this is not a new idea. many people in different places are doing it. For example, I was recently speaking to the director of the South African International Ballet Competition, Dirk Badenhorst, and this competition draws dancers from all over Africa to
Mm-hmm.
South Africa to compete and to test their skills and to be seen by directors. And he got all of his students to send videos to him, and he made a film about how these dancers are continuing to do their dance classes despite the lockdown, and that really inspired me. Um, and that's a real testament to how technology can work in your favor.
Right.
Uh, Also, in South Africa, I've been in touch with uh, the people who are running the Jazz Art Dance Theatre Training Company. And
Mm-hmm.
also, I've seen the Figure of Eight Collective. A lot of these organizations are using online Zoom classes to get their community and their students engaged.
Mm-hmm.
But what was interesting to realize was that, okay, yes, it's great that suddenly we are putting all this content online, whereby people can train in the comfort of their own home and everyone is getting active. But there's one problem that I was speaking to Hope Azeda recently,
Mm-hmm.
director of the Ubumuntu Arts Festival, founder. We were talking about this. How can we connect with community and people? We spoke
Mm-hmm.
about online, but where I come from in South Africa, um, my family and friends have trouble having access to data.
Mm.
And if you're a student and your family are struggling to put a meal on the table and they're paying your school fees, now that you're at home, they have to pay for extra data,
Yeah.
extra yes package to get this online content. So if you don't have the means financially, which I know a lot of people where I come from in South Africa don't, because with the moving assembly, our mission is to take artists to places where there are no facilities to teach dance or photography or film, and we
Mm-hmm.
work with kids in an underprivileged situation, which is the background that I come from. They definitely cannot log into Zoom
No.
for two
Yeah.
hours a day every day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big problem. As much as I'd like to connect with it, for example, this student from I worked with a student, many students in Kigali with the Mind Leaps program.
Mm-hmm.
And since I've started this Dance a Day Beyond Borders series on Facebook, he's been sending me videos, and he's inspired me to do a video here in London. And then I made one, and he was inspired, and then he went to make one. But now he cannot access data, so I have to wait until when he can get access.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little hurdle that we have to find a way to jump over. But it's
Yeah.
still, there's a possibility that we can connect with people. We just have to really think into the future to see how we can make this work in our favor. But there are negatives to it as well.
Mm-hmm. Of course, and the fact that none of us were, ready or even had a clue that this was something that we would be experiencing at this time. So I think even that adds to the aspect of everybody's just trying to figure out how best to deal with the situation. But we all don't know. We're moving and working through experience and trial and error. And that's great. And we can move back a bit, and you can let me know how you fell in love with dance and the performing arts. You say you came from an underprivileged part of South Africa, and how exactly did you get, exposed to it, and yeah, what was your journey?
Okay, I grew up in the northern areas of Port Elizabeth,
Mm-hmm.
and I started dance around about the time of 1994, so about 26 years ago. And you know the history of South Africa, what happened that time with Mandela and the ANC getting the victory.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in a rough neighborhood where uh, people regularly are getting murdered or burgled or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
but we had a dance studio that my grandmother um, made costumes for. She made costumes for the studio, and my auntie, her daughter, was a student there, and I attended her sessions of making costumes. So I'd sit under the table. She had the sewing machine above my head, and this studio, the Toynbee Club, had Spanish dance on the one side, flamenco, and
Mm-hmm.
then classical ballet on the other side. So you had flamenco music and the stamping on wooden floors eaten by termites, and then the next room you had piano and the classical ballet. So I was really young, and just seeing those dancing legs and listening to that music, and also the sewing machine, the rhythm of the foot putting down the pedal,
Mm-hmm.
that was really interesting. But what did it for me was there was a boy who lived on my street who was also in that studio,
Mm-hmm.
and um, for young boys to get into dance, it's still like a taboo that dance is not for boys, and he was one of the only boys in the studio, and because he managed to get a scholarship that was set up by Nelson Mandela and Lady Anya Sainsbury here of the UK.
Mm-hmm.
She was a prima ballerina with the Sadler's Wells Ballet.
Mm-hmm.
Nelson Mandela and Anya Sainsbury set up the scholarship, and he was part of the group that were chosen to come over to the UK from South Africa. And because he lived in my street, I looked up to him. His name is Warren Adams. He's in New York right now. He's a successful producer, choreographer, and
Mm-hmm.
director.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I looked up to him, and he showed me that it doesn't matter whether you come from a one-bedroom house with no hot water, or cracked roads, or no money in the bank. By being a dancer, you can actually make something out of your life. And he showed
Mm-hmm.
it to me by coming to London. And then that became my blind passion. I was like, I want to go to London. I want to be a dancer, and I want to support my family. And that was it. From the age of
Wow.
9 all the way until 18, that's all I said to myself. I want to be a dancer. I want to go to London, and I want to support my family. And it was like a mantra, a mantra. I prayed about it. I went to those classes, and it was complicated because there was one dance competition that I won, and the prize money was 20,000 rand. And at that time, I lived with my dad, and he wasn't working. My mother
Mm-hmm.
wasn't working, and my ballet teacher, Gwen Mary Wells, she passed away recently. She kept the 20,000 rand, and she said, "I'm gonna keep this for a day that you need it to go to London." So I came
Wow.
home, and I told my dad I won the competition, and there was 20,000 rand. He was like, "So where's the money?" And I was like, "Well, uh, my ballet teacher has it." And he was like, "Well, look in the cupboards. What is there? There's nothing in the cupboards, and your ballet teacher's got this money." And so that's like really difficult. But the day came when I had to send my video to London. They saw the video, and they said, "Okay, we can pay for your training for as long as you've got enough money to pay for accommodation." So my ballet teacher just gave the 20,000 rand and said, "Here's your accommodation for 6 months."
Wow.
And then they gave me training for 6 months. Um, uh, I won't carry on much longer, but after the 6 month, the training was over. Then my dad passed away, and I went back to South Africa. And then he had some money left in the policy, and I asked my family, "Can I please go back to the UK to try and get a job?" So they took the money, they bought the flight, came back to UK, went back to the school, and I knocked on the door of the director, Ross McKeem. I said, "Ross, I've got a few months left of my visa. Would you mind if I just train for a little bit whilst I try and get a job?" So Ross said to me, "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. The the scholarship's over, it's done. But yes, you can train for a couple of months." Anyway, phone calls were made. Then somebody in South Africa, the Ernest Oppenheimer Memorial Trust, said, "Okay, we'll pay for his tuition." And then the Sainsbury's said, "Okay, we'll pay for another year." Uh, and then they gave me another year. And then in that year, I got a job. And I've been here since 2003, and I've done really well.
Wow.
So I, it's an unlikely story, but it's just the basis of it is dance, and to some people it just seems like an insignificant thing, but through these years I've been a dancer here, I've been able to do quite a lot of things for my family, inspire people, travel around the world, and I'm really moved by the power of something as simple as dance.
Yeah.
So yes, that's my story, how I got into it and where I am now. So
That is
it's powerful.
amazing. And that ties into, I think, what Ubumuntu Arts Festival is trying to show at this point is how we all have that little hope that we hold on to and the resilience
Yeah,
of it. You know, when you decide this is what I want to do, and you still you have faith and you have hope, and you add that with hard work and being resilient, you get there. And it's really
exactly.
inspiring to hear. And I'm glad that you were able to share that, and I'm sure you're inspiring and have inspired countless more young boys who of course wouldn't think of, you know, dance as something to do, but seeing you doing it so well and paving the way, I'm sure they've gone into that, especially even the young ones that you're working with back in South Africa, you saying moving
Yeah,
assembly
you
board.
know,
That's
it's
amazing.
you just need somebody to look up to.
Mm,
And the you mentioned the Ubumuntu Arts Festival. I was so fortunate to be able to be a part of that festival in 2016,
mm-hmm,
and I was blown away by the power of this festival and by what Hope, Azeda, and the team have managed to achieve.
mm,
Um, I know some people who might be listening to this won't know about the festival over here in UK or in South Africa, and I just want to say that to be able to go to a place in Africa and to see the whole world come to that place,
mm.
to share in dance, in song, in theater, the performing arts come to a place at the genocide memorial, for me was one of the most incredible experiences
Right.
I've come across in my career. So I just want to give a shout out to Hope
Of
and the
course.
team,
Yes, they're doing an
who've
amazing job.
managed to do that and
Mm-hmm.
continue to make it happen. And I know that this year, it's a challenge because not many people will be able to come together, and the
Mm,
festival will have to take on a different role in terms of online, um, without walls, without barriers, without boundaries type of situation. So,
yeah,
and I know the 100 Stories of Home is part of that.
it
But
is.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
shout out to the team there.
They're doing an amazing job. And I think it all comes back to, I think what I love about technology and social media is that it shows us that we're not very different and we're experiencing the same things. And I think even though this has been trying times for all of us, but I think these dark times have shown us as that we're so similar and we experience different things, maybe in different varieties and in different lengths. But at the end of the day, you know, at this point, we're all home. We're all going through all these motions and trying to figure out what to do. So that gets me to asking you how exactly you mentioned that you were brought out of this darkness by looking at other content creators, you know, dancers online. And I want to know, what's your creative process now? Has that changed now that, you know, we're on lockdown and we're home? How does that look like for you?
Well, just today I got off the phone with Mark Bruce, the director of the Mark Bruce Company, and he is. I was part of his company just before this lockdown kicked in, and he was discussing with me about how he's thinking to take his choreographic work and make it into film, so that people can have access to the art form via film.
Wow.
And last week with Moving Assembly, we started this film project where we invite everybody to send us their film so we can make a large film in celebration all together.
Mm,
But that's all film based. And what I'm thinking about in the future is that we really have to change how we see the role of performing artists, theater makers, musicians. Like, it really, I'm still at the beginning of trying to understand how things have to change.
mm,
For example, because of this, I've recently been in touch with Zhao Lucy Xian, who is based in the UK, but she's from China, and she's been working with Manchester International Festival, and I wrote it down, Breaking Arts Festival. And I've not been in touch with her before, but through this time that we are at home and opening our minds to think about what is possible, somehow we are opening up channels, and certain people are coming into your sphere, and by being online you're seeing different people active in different realms, and suddenly you get a message to say, hey, what you doing? I see you've been doing this dance series, I'm doing this music project, how can we come together? And I think right now artists from everywhere are connecting with each other, whereas before we were so connected and wrapped up in what we were doing in our immediate environment, within the walls of a theater, in dark rooms, making theater for a small group of people. Now we kind of like are reaching out far and wide, because the performance space has been increased, but the ability to make things happen, it's smaller, because in terms of the pathway, like I can speak to you in Paris. Just earlier I was speaking to Hope, and she's in Rwanda, and between the three of us we can very easily think up a project and start it online using the existing means and ways that exist. So I think that there's so much scope for possibility for new things. We just have to find a way to make it work in a positive way, and that nobody's left out.
That's true.
That's the thing. Speaking to the Jazz Art team and to Hope and to the South African International Ballet Competition, we're thinking about how can we partner with the big telecommunications companies over here. It's British Telecom, Vodafone, 3 in South Africa is MTN, Verizon, I don't know in Africa or in France, but these are the companies that we need to align with, because we need them to help us to make it so that the people that we're trying to reach have access, especially young people, students. So I'm thinking about how to do that, how to keep people connected, especially those who are less able, where it comes to, okay, do you buy a bag of rice and oil, or do you go and buy 50 Rand of data for half an hour of download onto your phone? You know, we don't want people to make that decision.
No, yeah.
So currently, the immediate future, I think still some of us are still thinking about when we can return to the theater, when we can jump back into continuing as we stopped, but we might have to really rethink everything. Rethink how we access, how we have access to resources, how we connect with artists. And I don't know if you've seen the workings of Romani. Can you put it through? Yeah. Of this technology whereby you scan a room and you can import into the place where you are a person in virtual reality.
Yeah, I think I've seen something like that.
The name escapes me now, but basically you film your performance, and in 3D anybody anywhere can watch your performance on their mobile device, but the background is actually where they are.
Wow.
So I think we are going to move into a technological sphere, but the one downside I think about the technology is that it's the human contact, that vibration I was talking to you about, that type of empathy that you get when you see someone really close up. I think that's the challenge that we have. How do you maintain a distance that is still palpable within the realms of technology? Oh yes, the name of this technology is augmented reality.
Yeah.
Yes, so the augmented reality, I think there is something really interesting going on with that. but it does take away that human
It
thing.
does, yeah.
So right now, I don't have any answers for the future. I think the most pertinent things are the health of the population, really,
Of course.
and about how I know probably people won't want to be going back to the theaters anytime
Immediately, yeah.
soon. And if the social distancing measures that right now it's 2 meters, we can't be within 2 meters of each other. So we can't gather in large groups um, in confined spaces. So I don't know how we're going to do it other than using social media.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a lot to think about. I think it's great as well because then you can tap into different aspects that you didn't really think about. Like you said a couple of months ago, you wouldn't probably have thought to be on Instagram having technical issues on IG Live, but here we are.
Yeah, yeah,
I think there's with everything there's good points and there's disadvantages, but I'm loving what I'm seeing, especially from somebody who's I would say I'm creative, but from somebody who loves the arts and enjoys seeing what everyone else works on and seeing how people are able to express themselves and express their different emotions during this time through art, through
mm,
dance, through music, through everything. I think I don't think we've ever had anything close to what we're having now. I think I even get think I feel greedy because we're getting so much amazing content
yeah,
and it will change. I think it definitely is going to change how the performing arts goes beyond this, because I think a lot of people will be like, well, how do we interact? And we've been able to increase our viewership and find people from different parts of the world that we hadn't even thought about. So how do we bridge
yeah.
the gap? And I think it's just all about balance
Hmm.
and finding how social media can positively feed into what was already there, what was already working. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
but
definitely positively, because
mm-hmm,
I just looked at I saw the NDT, the Netherlands Dance Theatre, um, are doing this series whereby you can tune in. I think it's from tomorrow 7 p.m.
mm-hmm.
Their dancers are doing their own performances for the world wherever they are from their house.
Wow.
So instead of a director dictating what the performers have to do, the
Mm-hmm.
performers themselves are given agency to create their own performance. And this is becoming the new normal now. Like we had
Mm,
this television program on the other day whereby all of the big pop stars were from their home um, giving a rendition of a song that they had composed for this time.
mm,
And we're becoming so used to seeing people in their home environment, and this is the new normal now. And
mm-hmm,
there's a lot of scope there positively
mm,
because it removes a layer, it removes this type of screen that we have when you see people on stage. And there is something quite empathetic about that. You see someone in their living room,
mm-hmm,
this is their space, this is my nest, this is my nest right here,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
so and it's fine where sometimes people are really shielding themselves. This is the time
Right.
for us to open up. It's a time for us to reach out to each other.
Exactly.
More than ever we need to reach out to each other
Mm-hmm,
now, and I feel really lucky that we are in an industry whereby in any obstacle we immediately think creatively, like how can we
mm-hmm,
go around this obstacle, how can we use it as a support, how can we make this obstacle make us seem bigger if you walk away from it.
mm-hmm,
So I think artists or entrepreneurs, we have a positive challenge on our hands.
mm-hmm.
How can we shape our future, because we are the shapers of the future right now. We shouldn't really wait for other people to choose what the new normal is going to be. We
Right.
have, I think within this year, we are given an opportunity to shape what next year and beyond is going to look like.
Yeah.
And we can't sit down. We have to really just reach out. And I think now it's just reach out, open up the heart, anything that you've been hiding, just
Mm-hmm,
let it out and say yes to new things.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely will be surprised where we'll end up.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. Reach out. Yes. I think that's what we need to all be doing, and being able to, hold on to whatever hope and help each other through these times, and after that create a normal that we all are, proud of, and we all can
Mhm.
support, and we all can draw so much more from. So I think with that, that ended it very well. Reach out. I love that.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I think that we're good for today, even with all the
Hey,
technological
I
issues.
felt there was something that was up against us, like trying to like chop us down, but
Well,
we
like you
made it
said,
happen.
artists
Boom.
will do whatever they need to do. They'll look at a situation and get behind it and find a solution.
Exactly.
So that's what
Exactly.
that's what we did.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Dane Hurst, and I hope everybody's watching is gonna go and follow your account and follow the Moving Assembly Project and support and the artists who are, who been, stuck in a rough, we all have a different way of dealing, and I think some people maybe bounce back faster than others. So if you're an artist out there and you've been feeling down, and we're all here to support each other, we're reaching out to you. So if you have work that helps you express and get out of whatever it is that is stopping you or keeping you down, then do that. Ubumuntu Arts Festival is a platform for you to be able to do that and engage with other fellow artists and take comfort and support. So yeah, so we're keeping the hope alive. But yeah, thank you so much. And we did it. I'm proud of
Thank you,
us.
Sonia.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Right.
Okay. How do we do this? Ah, okay. Okay.